Hello, divine souls. Welcome back to another video. So, tonight, in this one, we are diving into the topic of unprocessed emotion, what that looks like in the body, how it manifests into physical symptoms, and then I'm going to be touching on some ways to feel your feels, to regulate your nervous system, all of the good stuff. So, let's talk about it. So for a lot of us, we find it really uncomfortable to express our feelings, our emotions, and for whatever reason. But the most common thing is that we've been shamed, or we've been made to feel wrong, or, maybe it's not the societal norm to express said emotions. Potentially, if we show feelings of anger, rage, wrath, it's like frowned upon, and it's not okay to feel those human feelings, right? Potentially you have attached a certain emotion to your identity. That's another thing, someone could say I know someone that's quite a bitter person, or they're an angry person, or I'm a bitter, angry person, or, I'm rageful or aggressive, right? So there's such a stigma now around these, what some may call negative emotions. I don't see them as that. I don't believe that they're that. That's my personal opinion. They're not negative. They are at a lower frequency, right, than an elevated emotion. But that's the difference. It's just the difference in the vibration. But it's just a heavier, more difficult emotion to process. The energy is dense, right? They're not negative. They're just human emotions. But we've been taught for some reason that we can't express anger. We can't express rage, especially as women. We can't be aggressive or give wrath, or be in that energy because it's negative. But realistically, we're human, and we're going to process these emotions in whichever way they're wanting to be felt and they're asking to be felt. So, for a lot of us as well, it may have looked like something along the lines of potentially, being dismissed as a child, or being told to stop crying, or you're naughty if you acted a certain way or expressed a certain emotion, or maybe you're called dramatic, and a bunch of different things that have just been ingrained in your subconscious mind, so you don't feel safe to express these emotions. Yeah, so that's what it seems to be for a lot of us. And I know in my work and, being a breathwork practitioner and a Reiki healer, this is the type of thing that my clients and I will discuss. And more often than not, it is, usually a trauma around being dismissed, or feeling unsafe to express, or being called a certain name, or, whatever the case may be. But that is definitely a common one. And, it's hard as well if you've ever suffered emotional or psychological abuse. It will be really hard a lot of the time for those of us that have, to feel safe in expressing or crying. And I mean really crying, or being you might feel shame around people seeing you cry. I remember that was always one for me. So yeah, there's a lot of different stories. So I just invite you to become clear on what those stories are with the specific emotions. And I would even invite you to write a list of what you believe are negative emotions, right? And positive emotions. Or, you could even write dense emotions and elevated emotions. That's just, words are really powerful. And I feel like when you start to play with these different things and you start to dive into these topics, it's really important to be mindful of the language that we're using. And that's why I don't particularly like the term negative emotions, because to me, human emotions and the human experience is such a broad thing. You can't really say that some are worse than others, and yeah, we're meant to experience that. We're meant to experience an array of different fucking emotions, and it's entirely fucking normal to feel them. Another thing you might experience if you have unprocessed emotions, you may find it really uncomfortable witnessing other people express theirs. Okay, so like if you're seeing someone cry and you're like, oh my fucking God, I don't know how to like comfort them, or that really triggers me because I don't know how to deal with that. Like, or you're being dramatic, or if that may be you on the other end of that. And that's also because they're mirroring back to you what you're not feeling. So I love speaking to this in all of the work that I do and everything that I discuss, because that's what we are. We're mirroring each other. Another human being is always going to mirror back to you either who you want to be and what you're trying to transform, or what you have yet to transform and transmute, if that makes sense. We're always going to be reflecting back to people what is unhealed or what we are yet to learn. So that's a really beautiful thing to note as well. If that's something that really makes you uncomfortable and you don't know how to deal with people in big emotions, or you see someone angry and you're like judging them because they're expressing anger or rage or, you know, wrath. I love that word so much. Oh, yeah. So that's some things to note as well, just to really go within and really just ask yourself, okay, what emotions do I deem negative or, you know, denser than an elevated emotion? And just really sit in that and really go through and just think to yourself, how do I feel when other people express their emotions? How do I feel, you know, if I were to see someone cry, like what would I do, you know? And I can speak for myself. I'm such an empath. So I'm an empathetic person. So when someone is showing an emotion, I will literally feel that emotion. So, you know, if someone was sitting in front of me crying, 9 times out of 10 or 10 out of 10, I will cry. I will literally feel what they're feeling. I have that ability to feel deeply what they're feeling. And so this can be a bit tricky at times as well, because taking on all different kinds of emotions can be quite hectic. But it's such a beautiful thing to be empathetic. It really, really is. And, you know, I probably wouldn't be in the line of work that I'm in if I did not have a heart like that. But just start to notice. Everyone has that in them. Everyone has the ability to be able to feel what other people are feeling. It's just most likely not going to be there until you've healed your own shit, right? So from that, I just want to touch on why this happens. So obviously we are programmed, or, you know, have a sense of programming from age 0 to 7. So whatever happened to us in that time is likely going to be how we grow up, how we operate, how we function in day-to-day life. And yeah, a lot of the time that's where our stored emotions will lie, you know, unmet needs as a child, or trauma that you face as a child, or whatever the case may be. And depending on what it was like for you, that's how you're going to process your emotions in adult life, right? And if you're a kid that was constantly dismissed and, you know, ignored, and your emotions weren't really, you know, nobody had the emotional capacity to hold space for you to express properly, or you just be told to go off to your room and sit there and cry by yourself, or be angry by yourself, or whatever it was, trying to figure out these big emotions, right? That you are likely, and this was my experience, I would bottle up literally everything I felt until I was like at my peak, and I would just fucking erupt. And then it would be the littlest thing, like it would be the littlest thing to send me over the edge, and people would be like, what the fuck? Like, that was just not even a necessary reaction for that for that particular thing. But that's what it was. It was an unregulated nervous system. It was suppression of emotion, and my body just couldn't take any more, and it'd be like the tiniest little thing that would set me off, and I would just fucking explode. So if this is you, I fucking understand. That was me for like majority of my childhood and my teens, and up until maybe like 4 years ago, or even the last couple of years. Like it took me time to be able to work on that and be able to feel really safe in my body and safe to feel my feelings when they arose, and learn how to just go, okay, this is really fucking uncomfortable, but I'm going to cry, or I'm going to feel it, and then I'm going to transmute it. Because what we need to understand is, through the discomfort and through the pain, through that uncomfortability and that ickiness and that heaviness, once we've felt that, and it might take a few days, that's okay. We don't really want to sit in it for too long, but it may take some time to get quicker and better at that. That's a skill. And then you transmute it, and then you enjoy liberation until the next one comes, and then you feel that. It's ebbs and flows. That's what life is. We ebb and we flow, just like our emotions do. And different things are going to trigger us. There's different things and triggers that we may not even be aware of until we're triggered. And then we realize, oh my God, that's something else that I may need to heal. Or, we can reflect upon it or whatever. So, okay, so let's move into then the unprocessed emotion and how this manifests into illness and disease in the body. So when we don't complete a stress cycle and we're stuck, because remember, emotion is energy in motion. So it's just energy that wants to move through our body. And lately, and I will say this from experience, so when I first started learning how to alchemize and transmute my pain into fucking gold was, where was I going with that? I'm so sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Oh my God, come back. Yes. So when I first started to learn this new healing modality or this skill, right, or this tool, obviously things that would arise, it was trauma that I was working through and everything, but things would arise and they would have a story attached. But what I started to learn is to let go of the story and just feel the emotion, right? Like, yes, the story's there, but just feel the emotion, let the emotion take up space. Then we can fully let go and move through that. And what I've noticed I was doing lately, because the story stopped coming, right? The stories were no longer attached to the feeling. And I was like, what the fuck? Sorry, stick with me. Every time I would feel something uncomfortable, I'd be like trying to dig up a story to attach to the feeling, rather than just going, oh, I'm feeling sad. I don't know why, but this is arising in me, so let's just feel it. I feel sad, let's just feel that. Instead of doing that, which I'm slowly getting better at as well, it's all learning, but I would like dig to the depths to be like, okay, what can I attach to this sadness? Like, am I sad because of this? Am I sad because of X, Y, Z? Or remember that time that happened to me? Is that why I'm sad? Like, I was trying to pull a fucking reason or a story to attach the emotion, rather than just going, hey, this is just energy that wants to move through me, right? And maybe it doesn't matter where it's coming from. Sometimes it will, and sometimes you've really got to really move through the story as well, right? Because that's reprogramming the subconscious, and that's being able to really let that story go and leave it in the past. Yeah, so I hope that makes sense. I would love to hear below if any of this is resonating with you, or take what you will, leave what you will. You'll always take what is going to resonate with you most. But yeah, I would love to hear if this is hitting home for anyone. Okay, what did I want to touch on next? Where was I going with that? Unprocessed. Yes, so how this works is, if the energy is not moved through the body, the energy then sits stagnant in the body. which then over time will manifest into a physical symptom. It could be a sore shoulder, sore hip. You could have things going on internally with your organs. Yeah? And it is more than likely, if you're experiencing illness and disease in the body, it is because of an unprocessed emotion. Because unprocessed emotion, what this looks like, it affects us on a cellular level. It affects us on a cellular level. And here's why. Because we are, in this day and age, in this life, we are so used to living in fight or flight, in survival mode for prolonged periods of time. Well, it was never, ever, ever intended to be that way. Way back when, in caveman days, when we were getting chased by fucking lions, tigers, and bears, right? The intention was that in the moment you're like, yeah, fucking legging it because you don't want to get eaten. But then shortly after, that's it. That process is done. You're no longer being chased. The body would switch straight back into parasympathetic side of the nervous system, which is the calm, rest, and digest state. We would not stay for like days, months, years in this fight or flight, survival mode, sympathetic state. We wouldn't. They would just let it go until the next threat came, and they'd be at it again, back into, and then switching. It'd just be like this. Whereas now, in today's society, people are living in this sympathetic state for freaking weeks, months, years. And what that's doing to the body on a cellular level would blow your mind. It's damaging cells, and a damaged cell is likely to not only die, but it's creating an environment internally inside of the body for illness and disease to thrive, because you don't have optimal cell function. Your internal environment is the perfect place for this stuff to thrive. Okay, so it's important that we understand that. And if you're not familiar with Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, or Dr. Bruce Lipton's work, or epigenetics, metaphysics, quantum physics, get familiar. I wish that this was the science that the world was banging on about. I really do, because if each individual human really took to learning and understanding the basic functions of the human body and the natural healing capabilities that the body holds, there would be, we as a population, as a society, as a collective, will be a lot less inclined to reach for external sources to fix us. The power of belief is one thing, but when you understand energy, you understand epigenetics and how genomic sequencing works and how the cells actually function, how the oxygen and how we oxidize and alkaline the blood, and all of that through breath work, which is what I'm going to close with in a second. Man, how we can manipulate energy and heal energy and align the chakras in Reiki healing. Like, it's not only that, there's hypnosis, there's yoga, there's so many things that will help you to heal and process these energies. And emotions are energy in motion. Emotions are energy, right? So when we say energy work, or I say energy work and I refer to that, that's because that is the work that I do. I'm working with energy. I'm helping people understand their energy. I'm assisting and guiding people into healing energy, their unprocessed emotions. And it's just getting the emotion that's just got stuck. So it could have been grief, anger, sadness, betrayal, aggression, hurt, pain. It can be anything. and it's just got stuck there. Like, I like to think of it and visualize this for a moment. I like to think of it as like a tunnel. Like, you know those tunnels that trains go through, and it's like, think of it from like start to finish. It's like you've entered the tunnel and you're grieving, and then somehow, somewhere along the line, maybe some rubble fell and you got fucking stuck, and no matter what you did, you just couldn't get through. You couldn't process it any further, so it's stuck, and God knows where it's sitting in the body. Okay, so you may feel pain in your womb. You may experience really painful periods, and I'm going to touch on this in a couple of videos' time, how this affects the womb for women specifically. What emotions are attached there, what parts of the body we hold different emotions. Like, it's just crazy. So going back to that though, say you're like halfway through, you get stuck, right? And you like never really dealt with that grief. And then, okay, then the next heavy, dense emotions, and you're angry, and then you're moving through anger and you get stuck, same thing. And then there's all these emotional tunnels over the years that you haven't even made it through yet. You're not even close to the fucking other side. Yeah, so that's what processing emotion is, and gets you out completely through the other side of the tunnel, so you're able to feel joy, liberation, bliss, calm, clarity. Yeah, it's not to say that you're never ever going to feel these feelings again. It's just helping you get better at feeling them. As they arise, you feel them. You don't suppress them. They come up, you feel it, you move on. They come up again, you feel it, you move on. And it's not going to happen that quick initially. And some emotions are a lot denser and heavier than others. So it may take a few days for you to sit in it. And it's uncomfortable. And I will be 110% transparent with you. I still avoid feeling. I do. So you are human. It feels uncomfortable. It's uncertain. You're probably not gonna like it a whole lot. But I can promise you this, the feeling on the other side of that, that's what you're gonna get addicted to. That's the feeling that you know that you can get every single time you process an emotion that's dense or feels heavy or uncomfortable. The elevated ones are coming straight after. It's just feeling it in order to transmute it, and then you're back up there, baby, living your best life. So, yeah, that's what happens when we do breath work. That's what happens when we do emotional alchemy practices. That's what happens when we meditate, right? That's what happens when we shake and we do somatic shaking and we move and we just allow ourselves to sound. Like, really, really using our voice activation is a big one as well. I know that if I'm feeling really angry or, sad, if I sound, after a few rotations of activating the sound, tears just come flowing. It's fucking magnificent, the vibrations, the different things that you can play with in order to move your energy, move your emotions through your body. Because that's what I want you to remember when you think of this video. If you take away one thing, please remember this: emotion is energy in motion. So call it out. Like, if you wake up one day, you're like, fuck, I'm just feeling really sad today. It may not have a story. Remember, it may not have a story. I'm just feeling that. That's the energy that wants to move through me, okay? How can I transmute this? How can I transmute it? Sit with it. Meditate. Do we have to do shake, sound, breathe? Breathe. Breathing, sounding, movement are the three fucking foundations or pillars for moving this energy, right? Breath, sound, movement, baby. That is it. That is it. That is all it takes. And anyone is capable of doing that. Anyone can move, anyone can make sound, anyone can breathe, right? That's breathing is our life force energy. And you would be blown away what your breath is able to access when you breathe deep enough and you breathe into those parts of you that are needing to come unstuck, that emotion's needing to come unstuck. So yeah, that's really it. But what was I going to say? Find things that you enjoy. Like for me, I love a somatic shaking. Like if I'm just like, oh, I've got lots of energy, maybe feeling really cranky, or, you know, whatever the case may be. Or even if I'm not, I just feel like I've got stagnant energy, like I'll just move it. And sometimes you won't even expect, like that's another note to take away. Don't expect anything. And every time you do an energy practice, or you're moving energy through your body, breathing, sounding, moving, whatever it is, have no expectations, because I'll tell you now, every time I breathe, every time I move, and sometimes, like I said, I am already feeling a type of way, so I'm intentionally doing the practice to shake that energy, to move that energy. However, if you're not feeling any type of way and you just want to go and shake, right, or you want to sound or move, as you're moving through the practice, you might be dancing, you might be in flow, but then you might feel like this big emotion come up and you're like, where the fuck is that coming from? Just feel it, honor it, keep moving. Like sometimes the breath, the sound, and the movement is the thing to bring the emotion to the surface, because it's probably been stored and stuck for a really long time. And so now you're just like, oh, yes, okay, this is the thing that's going to bubble it up and bring it up for me. And this is what we go through in a breathwork session, right? A lot may come up for someone, but it also may not. For some people, it's just really vitalizing and rejuvenating, and they're just like having such just a liberating, buzzing feeling, and they're just, so energized. Whereas some other clients feel really tender, and it could be different. It's different every single time. Every time I do a breathe, and I'm an experienced breather, every time I do a breath, it's different. It's so different every single time. So you can't ever go into a practice or a session having a certain expectation. Another thing that's really, really great to move the energies is to journal, is to write. If you enjoy writing, it doesn't even have to make sense. Just whatever you're feeling, write it down. And what's really beautiful is like you'll go back at the end of a year, or, you know, even 6 months, and you'll look back and you'll just go, wow, like look at everything I was able to transmute. Look at everything that I was able to move through. Like, who am I? Right? So yeah, it's some really powerful work. It's energy work is the best work. What is going on? Oh my God. This happens to me all the time. Spirit, are you playing games? Are you fucking playing games on me, mate? Mate, I say mate. Stop it. It's like a disco in here. I'm like so nearly done. That's gonna drive me crazy. Please stop. Okay, thank you. That was fun for a second. How weird. That's happened to me a couple of times now. Don't do it again. We're not going there tonight. We're just not going there. I've had some really crazy things happen to me the last couple of days, but we're not going there in this video. We'll talk about that another time. So journaling, dancing, sounding while you're dancing, like even if when you're moving and you're you know, like just whatever, and trust the sound that wants to come out. Like, you may find this hard at first, and if you feel resistance to sounding, that's totally fine, totally normal. I also felt that initially, but once you learn how activating it is, you're like, I don't give a fuck, I'll do it. Like, I'll just do it every day. So yeah, but if there is resistance, trust it's totally normal, and really feel into the resistance as well. The resistance is also there to tell us something, to teach us something. So feel into the resistance if you have any. But what I would invite is, like, if you feel like screaming, but you're maybe not in a position to scream, like my boys sometimes get Like, from experience, I don't scream in front of them anymore. I had a big emotional process once and it actually scared them. So I was like, okay, we can't be doing that. I think it's important for your kids to see you expressing said emotion. And now my eldest boy, he's 3, will like punch pillows and go into it if he's angry, because we have an issue where sometimes he'll like throw things, and I'm like, no, let's redirect the energy. It's good. I'm glad it's okay to be angry, and I always reaffirm that. So if you have kids, be understanding and try your best not to suppress or dismiss their emotions as well, because if you are an adult that had that happen to you, you'll understand how that feels. And it is tricky because it is a programming, but also allow them to see you in your emotions and feeling your emotions, and that is allowing them to feel safe to express theirs as well. And that might have been another story as well. You may have had parents that you never seen even fucking cry or express any form of emotion except anger or like whatever the case may be. So yeah, anyway, it's really important to teach them, and as developing kids too, like they're having big energy outbursts. Like they don't really know what to do with that emotion or that energy. It's so big. It's such big energy. So teaching them how to direct or where to direct the energy is the best thing you can do. So for my son, I've got 2 boys, but for Zaid, my eldest, it's so great to be like, okay, he'll have what, a tantrum or an outburst, an energy outburst, and we're like, okay, buddy, please don't throw things. That's what I say to him, because he'll go and he'll like throw stuff like in the moment. I'm like, hey, let's not throw stuff. If you feel like you are so frustrated and so angry, you can go and punch a pillow and scream into it or hit the floor with it or whatever. Like, it's safe. Therefore, no one's going to get hurt. He's not breaking things, but he's allowing that stress cycle to complete. Because if I was to say, and I'm not perfect, I have done this because I'm still learning. But if I was to go and say, don't be angry, don't throw things, stop doing that. It's, I'm stopping that stress cycle from completing. So that's where it begins, right? That's where it begins. The second we say, don't feel that, don't express that, don't, stop. We're like stopping that in its tracks. So they're actually, we can learn a lot from toddlers and young kids, because they are the best at fucking expressing their emotions. They complete it in a matter of seconds. Like both my boys will have big emotions, and in literally 2 seconds, it's over. You've just got to like wait it out. They just want to process it. That's literally it. And that's one thing they've taught me. They feel it in the moment, and we're here like, don't feel that, right? But really, they're doing what their body's asking them to do, where they're feeling this emotion, they're frustrated, they don't know why necessarily, like a lot of us, and then they're, boom, the emotion's there, and then a minute, maybe 5, not even that, 2-3 minutes later, complete, we're over it, we're happy, we're laughing, we're doing that again. It's the best. And that's exactly what it should look like for us. So now, isn't it funny that we're trying to learn from our kids, from what kids do, because they do it right. That's what they're doing, right? The only reason we ever stopped is because we were told not to feel something. Yeah? So it's really interesting. But I will just finish here. With the daily breath, I have a short that I posted on YouTube that explains the daily breath, and it's like 22 mouth breaths for 2 rounds and 2 breath holds. So if you are keen, I'm still figuring out how to link everything, but I'll try and link that below so you can have a look at that. And because it goes for about 5 minutes, I think, and I explain like the process and the benefits and everything like that of the daily breath. And if you are looking at from that's a daily tool. That's like something to just, what that helps us do is when we are faced with stressful situations, what we're doing when we do that daily breath is we're self-inducing stress in the body. We're self-inducing that sympathetic state. Okay, you may experiencing some tingles, some numbness, some ears might ring a little bit. Totally normal. You may feel a little bit faint or dizzy. It's totally normal. But where was I going with that? Oh my God, my brain. Oh my God, I've lost it. Yeah, okay, it's back, far out. I am a little bit tired. I probably filmed this a little bit late, but hopefully it's coming across okay. So we're self-inducing the stress, okay? So that once we complete the breath, we're back into a parasympathetic state, the calm, rest and digest state. So what that's doing is quite literally training our nervous system to go from stress to calm. Stress to calm, stress to calm. Fight or flight, rest and digest, like simultaneously, right? So what that's doing is when we are faced with a stressful situation in our daily life, we can feel what needs feeling, and it may stress us for a little bit, but then we'll be like, it's okay, because I know how to regulate my nervous system. So, and there'll be tools along the way on my channel to help you do exactly that. But that's all that it's doing, and it is fucking addictive. Not only is our breath our life force energy, the fact that our breath alone can heal so much, flush toxins out of our body, upregulate our nervous system, upregulate our freaking immune system, quite literally rejuvenate our cells so that our cells are like more vital or have more vitality to them. Yeah, we're creating a healthy inner environment, an environment that combats disease and illness. There's no space for it in the body. Yes, so we will dive a little bit deeper into the art of breath in another video, because I really want to dive deep into, the different breath techniques, as well as, what's what I'm looking for? Their effects and the impacts on the body through different breath. So yeah, I think I'm feeling complete in that though. So I'm going to put a bunch of different links below. If you are interested in finding out more, my offerings link is on my channel. So I believe that it's just a little link tree that says offerings. You can click there. There's a bunch of different things. You can book a sessions. Some sessions I hold online for breath and distant Reiki healing as well. And I'll pop different links below for Dr. Joe. If you're not familiar with him, I'm going to put him below. Dr. Bruce Lipton as well. Get onto Gaia as well if you're not, because there's just like most profound teachings on that bloody, what do you call it, app? Not even an app, like it's like Netflix, but way better. It's way better than Netflix. So insightful. So jump on there. Also, this is not sponsored. I'm literally obsessed. Like I'm just literally obsessed with Gaia. I might even, if I can, I'll put my link tree below. That way it's just easy. You can just click the links below and it's all there for you. Is that it? Yeah. And then any other things any questions, anything that really landed for you in this video, comment it below. I would love to know more, and I will see you in my next video.
Mom wants another book.